Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Destiny 2 Forsaken is set to release September 4th, and it's set up to deliver tons of new content with a strong emphasis on replayability and endgame activities. In interviews with Games Radar and of course the Game Informer coverage that we've been experiencing for the past week so far, we got a glimpse into how the Forsaken campaign will be playing out. Through several interviews, we've learned that the game will feature a non-linear mission structure. We also got some interesting details about how this will be presented to us. So in this video, I want to dig a little deeper and talk about how this is going to affect your Forsaken experience and what this could actually mean for the Destiny franchise at large. Let's get into it. Alright, so as we know, the story will include us hunting down and exacting our revenge upon 8 barons that were broken out of prison by public enemy number 1, Prince Uldren Sov, brother to the Queen of the Reef. Now, Scott Taylor explained in the interview with Games Radar that we will have the option to seek out the 8 barons in any order that we want. There might be an easiest order to do it in, but it's pretty much free agency for us to do whatever we want. And then of course we will have to confront each and every one of them before being able to complete the story and face off against Prince Uldren. For a bit of context, let's go back to Destiny 1's campaign. This was before quests were introduced, and the campaign, for the most part, was fairly linear. The exception was side missions and strikes that you would unlock along the way. They weren't necessary for campaign completion, but back then we were all excited to finally be playing Destiny, so we played through them all. Plus, they were often needed to get to a certain level so you can move on to the next planet and continue the campaign. Then we got the Taken King, which was also very linear, as they were literal steps in a campaign quest. We also got a scattering of other quests, which helped make it feel a bit more non-linear, but essentially there was always one correct path to finish the campaign. Rise of Iron followed this format, and so did Destiny 2's main campaign, The Red War. For Forsaken, things are being shuffled up quite a bit. Steve Cotton described it as such. It actually plays out a little bit differently. You go on a hunt, and you get to choose the way that you're doing it, who you're going after, and in what order. Scott Taylor added, you've got to hunt them all down to get to Uldren. At a certain point in the story, you're going to have a list that you're trying to check off. So it seems like we might experience 1 or 2 missions to set up the events and to introduce us to the Tangled Shore. Then it looks like we'll be set loose and left to our own devices to then track down and hunt the barons. Now, we also got a little bit more information that we're going to be facing off against 6 of the 8 before the campaign then resumes its linear progression, but it's still pretty cool that 6 of them will essentially be completely non-linear, and you can attack them in any order that you want. Once you defeat all 8 of them, you will then have access to hunt down Uldren. We don't know how it's going to play out, but it sounds pretty cool. This reminds me a lot of Mass Effect 2, one of my favorite games of all time. This game also featured a non-linear campaign. It had a couple missions to set up the plot, and then it left you to go find heroes scattered around the galaxy. Once you formed your team, you could then jump through the final mass relay and confront the final enemy. I actually thought the Destiny 2 campaign might follow the same way based on an early synopsis that mentioned that you would be seeking out scattered heroes around the system. While this objective stayed true, the game still took you to those heroes in a linear order. Like for instance, we couldn't visit Ikora first. I really liked the non-linear structure of Mass Effect 2 because it gave me an opportunity to really explore the different characters and to get to know them a lot better. I set my own pace and didn't have the desire to jam through it just to get it done. I felt like I, the player, was much more in control as opposed to just along for the ride, which is what Destiny has felt like up until now. The notion of a non-linear campaign makes me very happy, and I think it's exactly what Destiny needs. The original vision for the franchise was supposed to involve non-linear stories, and it looks like after 4 years, we're finally getting it. Destiny has always struggled to balance presenting a cinematic campaign with its other scatterings of activities. Lost sectors and adventures were originally intended to supplement your campaign experience. That's why most of the rewards are rare quality loot and skill points for your skill trees. Sadly, it failed in its intended function because you were locked into a Red War cinematic campaign. The game tried to create opportunities for you to explore these activities by placing artificial level requirements before each new planet, But most players blew past that by just doing a few public events. With Forsaken, it looks like Steve Kahn and his team are starting to figure out how to properly utilize the foundations that they have set in the game so far. Through the Game Informer coverage and through interviews with the project leads, we now know that the Baron hunts will be presented in the form of adventures in the Tangled Shore. If this turns out to be the case, this is very exciting because it's setting up the replayability of hunting down these Barons again in the future. Imagine returning to do a heroic version of a Baron hunt. Oh, and I really hope that Bungie took this as an opportunity to inject some Baron exclusive gear. That would be pretty incredible. It would tie the whole thing up very nicely. Now, once you hunt the 6 Barons, it seems like you're going to be able to continue the campaign quest as I mentioned before and face off against Uldren. My guess is maybe 1 or 2 more story missions at that point. Then, when we're done and the campaign hopefully did its job properly, we will have been introduced to the Dreaming City for even more exploration, and this time, important to my endgame progression. The more I think about it, the more excited I get at the potential this expansion has to push the envelope and to truly evolve Destiny. It looks like Bungie might have finally accepted that super linear story campaigns has no place in Destiny. Forsaken is a statement Bungie is making. Yes, we have the obvious fixes and improvements such as weapon slots, collections, etc., but it goes much deeper than that. With Forsaken, Bungie is changing our preconceived notion of experiencing a major content drop. It's very evident in the structure of even the new annual pass, and I absolutely believe that this will not only carry over to future major expansions, but even to major titles like Destiny 3, which they're definitely working on right now. Presenting the game's major campaign content in a non-linear way makes way more sense from a design standpoint, and I think it'll go a long way in restoring the hobby for players. Am I hyped? Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. All of the major steps that they're taking are the right ones, and it's okay to get excited for that while still, of course, being cautious. You're all smart, Bungie is laying out all the cards on the table, they're bound to have more streams, not to mention the month of updates coming from Game Informer this month, so make that decision for yourself. Don't worry about pre-order bonuses, those will still be there up until the day of release, so don't rush into buying anything that you're not sure of. You have all summer to make the choice for yourself. I'm of course going to always be cautiously optimistic, but I can tell you right now that I will be purchasing Forsaken and the annual pass because Destiny is my hobby. Right now I currently enjoy the game with my clan, and I have some of the most fun I've had playing video games ever. It's not because I have a channel based on Destiny like some are very quick to point out, but the point is, it's quite the reverse. I wouldn't have a channel based on Destiny if I didn't actually love it. But honestly, having said that, I think we have the real deal here. Even if it's just for game modes like Gambit and the new weapon system, I'm pretty stoked. Anyways, I want to know what you feel about the non-linear campaign. Do you think it will work out for Forsaken and for Destiny at large? Let's discuss. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.